Welcome to All Around's Palace of Healing. Inside here, all are welcome. Like, share, subscribe, hit your notification buttons. Come in, stay for a while. Maybe you'll find something here that can help you through whatever it is you're going through. It's all about healing up in here. So tune in. And if you'd like to get a reading with me, check the information below. And once again, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Lauren's Palace of Healing. Please like, share, subscribe, talk about with your friends. Yes, you that I'm looking at right now. Hit the like button, hit the notification button, subscribe. Help your boy out, help your family out, because in here we're all family. So today we are going to go deep. Oh yeah, we're going deep. Real deep. All deep in there. And what I want to talk about today was the pedestal. What made me think about this is I was having a conversation on a Facebook Live with a gentleman named Kevin Wesley yesterday. And he was talking about the conscious community and how leaders were falling off and all of these things were happening with people and not wanting to be associated with that mess. And to that I can definitely relate. Being that I was a pastor's son, grew up in the church, you always saw, especially in the older generation, there was always this thing where they felt like they had to have a title to be important. Especially in the black community, because as you know, especially if you're looking, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, in the real world, it was hard for a black man to be anything. It was hard for a black man to be successful. It was hard for black men to build. It was always a challenge. Especially when you had segregation, all of these Jim Crow laws, all of these things that they grew up with. The church for them was a refuge. But not only a refuge, it was the one place that a black man or a black woman could feel important, where you could have a title, where you could be the deacon or the deaconess or the trustee or prophetess or the prophet or reverend doctor or pastor or bishop or Dr. Reverend Pastor Bishop, Reverend Saint. I don't know. They had all kind of titles for layman, armor bearer, all these sorts of titles for everyone to aspire to within that system. And it gave people something to do, because you could be a janitor all week. But you put that suit on, you go to church on Sunday, and you are somebody, right? You got your three-piece on, your Stacey Adams. Step in the church. You feel like you the man. Because Monday's coming. When Monday hits, you're going back to regular life, and they don't give a damn about you. So that's what the older generation faced with that, and this desire to seek titles and to seek importance. Um, People used to always ask me, why didn't you become a pastor like your father? Why didn't you go down this path? I have to say it's because I have my own path. I'm my own person. I've always had differences of opinion when it comes to Christianity, the Bible, holiness movement, all of that. But, when I would voice my opinions, they would tell me either I was wrong or if I thought this way, I would go to hell, and all the usual stuff that they say to prevent having to think about things. And they meant well. I have compassion for them. They really did mean well. But what I saw, and I'm not talking about my father, because one thing I will say is my house was like footloose. Like, living in my house was the closest thing you ever get to living with Jesus. Because Pops was a goody two shoes like no other. So was Mom. I know they had their time before me when they did whatever, but if anybody lived what they preached, my father did. So I have no discrepancy with that. He was an honorable man. And he was the real deal. When I say real deal, I mean he had gifts. So he could legit heal people. Almost read your mind. He was an energy reader. Like they didn't really know the titles for these things, but he was operating with all of these gifts. And for a time in my teenage years, I used to minister with him. So I was quieter about it because I wasn't trying to lay hands on nobody and nothing like that. But I would see things about people in mid-service, especially on revivals, because something about his gift would activate mine. And it was like, ba-boom. And I was seeing all the same stuff he was seeing about people. So I would tell him things, and then he would go call whoever it was out and bring him up. And they'd be like, how did you know that? And they'd point at me, his son. I think I was like 16, 17. So I operated these gifts with him under that system. But I think from like the age of 15, 16, things didn't really sit right with me in terms of the whole denomination. What really struck me was when I would go to the annual convocation, and it was all supposed to be about everyone that's involved in these ministries getting together once a year, bonding with each other, having the musicals. Ultimately, supposed to be about praising God, and of course they had their politics and the voting and all of that stuff that they did during the day. But what I would see is all these pastors and preachers looking their finest in their finest clothes, renting the finest vehicle or driving down in the finest vehicle that they had, and wearing all the furs and the hats and showing off how stylish they were at church because they believe in looking their best. I don't know. I felt like it was more ego. Because everybody wants to have the prettiest hat and the finest furs and the finest wear. And they're roaming around the halls, and you'll meet some gospel singers that are famous. I was in an elevator with a couple of the Clark sisters once. That was cool. But I would meet a lot of these people through my father. And it was a fun experience. I enjoyed myself. But it was like after they would do all that hooping and hollering and shouting, um, I walk around downtown with some of my friends, and you see these people in collars drinking Long Island teas, smoking cigarettes, cussing, like all the stuff that they were preaching that you shouldn't do. And I would just look, I would be like, man, look at all these supposed ministers doing everything that they tell us not to do. And so, back home at my father's church, he was always good at weeding those people out, because you see them come in and they'd be so enthusiastic and they want to serve real bad, like showing up to every service, every Bible study, appearing thirsty, when really they wanted to feel important. Some had gifts, some didn't. But what a lot of them wanted to do was show that they were faithful for a certain amount of time, so they could get ordained and wear a collar and sit in the front row with the other clergy and assistant pastors and feel important. And you know who's who, because the ones that are real and have good intentions, they're still walking their path and they're still ministering and preaching and doing what they do. The other ones, you saw them fall off rather quickly. I think I was around 17, 18. I was cruising the streets more because, like, I don't know, I didn't really feel like I fit in. Like, I was the pastor's son, but it just never felt like my world. So I'd be out cruising the streets with my friends, and there's these bars and nightclubs that ran along a 4 or 5 block span in the town that we lived in, and occasionally you would see the ministers creeping up out the nightclub, hollering at somebody that wasn't their wife. I would see all of this stuff, and I wouldn't say anything, but I'd peep them, and I'd be like, okay, I see what's up. I was the church drummer, so that was like my way of keeping busy, plus I love music, so if I wasn't on the drums, I was on the bass guitar or the keys. I was just find something to do. But from my perch on the drums all the way in the back corner, you can kind of watch everybody and see what's popping. You see a lot of the choir members. They were still hanging over from the night before at the club. I peeped them. You'll see some of them messing with somebody else's spouse. Not knowing some of us knew. I would peep, because you always see the same people crying on Sunday morning. It's usually the same ones, and they're going to counseling, and you see them occasionally sharing glances across the room with somebody. You like, they don't understand what teenagers and the kids actually be peeping, because we see all of this, especially the pastor's kids. We be watching everybody. But I started to think a lot differently, like all the stuff everybody's preaching and trying to aspire to that they can't actually do, but they want to. But trying to live a holy and sinless life and not make any mistakes, that's a whole lot of pressure. Now imagine being a pastor's son and them feeling like their name is important, so you can't really make any mistakes. Because God forbid that's going to reflect bad on your father. So don't get caught being drunk. Don't get caught having sex. Don't get caught doing anything. So I really had to hide who I was. I started feeling differently about theology in general. I think when I was 16. And it started with debate class. Now, if you go to debate class, for a lot of it, you're having to sit in the library for extended amounts of time collecting information, clippings from newspapers, all of these different quotes, and putting them on index cards and building your case and building your file. One of the cases that they gave us was evolution. And I ended up getting the opposite side, which is not the side that I grew up on, because I grew up on the creationist side. So I felt like it would be a good challenge. Let me be pro-evolution, just to be the devil's advocate. And through doing that, I started to change my views on science and the world. And then I started thinking about how realistic is it that two people were put in one garden and they got cast out for eating a piece of fruit. I mean, it all sounds silly, like once you start thinking about it. And condemned for eternity for eating a piece of fruit that they were told not to. And it's like, it makes no sense. Like, why would Spirit put something in front of you and tell you don't do it, just to see if you'll do it and then punish you for doing it? It's like, hey, I know you're hungry. I'm going to put this food in front of you and tell you not to eat. And then get mad at you because you ate the food because it looked good. Like that makes no sense. And then like how they populated Earth and these kind of stories, it was like, after looking at science, I was like, how do I make sense of all of these facts? The dinosaur bones and the old skulls and the caveman and all these different things that the scientists have been talking about that made more sense to me. And so I started having these epiphanies like, all right, if it doesn't make sense, I need to just throw it out and just call it a story. Like the concept of a man living in the belly of a fish, a giant fish for 3 days and living. If it cannot happen in today, it couldn't happen then. So the day I see a whale swallow a man and he lived for 3 days and then get spit out, I will believe that story. So I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. I don't say all these things because I want y'all to leave your faith or any of that. If what you believe in makes you feel good and it changes your life, makes you feel transformational, makes you a more loving and better person, then by all means, stick with that. But leave everybody else alone. Let everybody believe what they want to believe. I ain't here to mess with you. So don't mess with me. But it was like I started feeling differently about things. Then I started thinking about these titles. Now I'm seeing these men like Jimmy Swaggart and all these other guys, Jim Baker, Tammy Faye, all these millionaire preachers out there, televangelists, getting mad money and then falling. Guess what? It's time to take these people off the pedestals, man. They are human just like you or me. They have no more power to reach God, the universe, source, spirit, whatever you want to call whatever you believe in. They have no more power to tap into that than you or me. I'm not better than you. They're not better than you. No one is better than you in that regard. So, that being said, the pastor, he's a flesh and blood man. He's going to make mistakes. He's not perfect. Neither are you. The difference is when you're in leadership, sometimes you're not as transparent as your parishioners. So your parishioners get blindsided because they don't realize that the person that is leading them is a human being. I don't like leaders. I mean, like, having leaders is cool and all, but why not have teachers? Learn from them and develop yourself. Learn from them, but do your own research. Why are you worshiping these men? Falling on your knees before these pastors and whatnot, thinking that they have the ability to tap into God more than you. The only reason they have that ability is because you give it to them. You want to be lazy. You want to be intellectually lazy. You want to be spoon-fed. You want to show up every Sunday and have somebody else tell you what to do. You want to have somebody else do the research for you and regurgitate and then tell you how to live instead of figuring out how to live for yourself. You don't want to have any accountability for yourself. That's why you follow these guys. And then you get all mad when they're hurt. Look at the Catholic Church, for instance, and all the scandal and the child abuse. And you have these cardinals and these bishops and all these guys with these titles. And they're abusing your kids, right? If they're more godly than you, they have the right to tell you how to live, right? Even all the way up to the top. If you do your research on the popes, there was some wicked characters. Yet you guys want to believe that they're the closest person to Jesus, if you believe in Jesus. You believe they have more of a connection than you do. That's a lie. It's all a lie. It's a lie. They don't. I remember being in one ministry, and he wanted me to be the armor bearer. And he's carrying his briefcase and showing up to every service and locking up the church and having clean, doing all of this stuff. And then finally I thought about it and I was like, why am I doing this? When I don't even want a title. For a minute I thought I did. Because I wanted to be like my father. I thought like he was the best man that I knew. And that's who I wanted to be like. I even have his name. But something was like, this is not your path. Because there's like other things I like to do. Everything that I like to do, they tell you to go, you're going to hell for. Oh, don't listen to rap music. You're going to hell. Don't wear baggy jeans. You go to hell. Don't dress today's fashion. You're going to go to hell. Oh, if you go to a football game or the nightclub, you're going to hell. If you go to do karaoke at the bar, you're going, like, everything that they said was different, you would go to hell for. And I started thinking to myself, that's not the case. It can't be. And I remember one time I was on a road trip with my god sister. I think this is 99, 2000. We're on the way to visit my folks, and we're in our Sebring. Listening to Marvin Gaye, of all things. And it was like Spirit started talking to me. And I couldn't understand because I'm like, wait, this is secular music. How can Spirit talk to me through secular music? I'm clairaudient. But I felt it. And it was like different instances where I had to come to the determination that for me, I don't need to put anybody else on a pedestal. I'm tapped in. You can tap in too. We all have this ability. Everyone. To tap into the source. I was saying to someone earlier, we're having a conversation about God, and I was like, I don't really think about God in the classic biblical way that you do, even though I used to, but I don't. I view spirit more like the ocean. And we're like fish in the ocean. We breathe spirit in and out. When you tap in the water, when you move your fin in the water, I should say, if you're a fish, or you move your tail to propel yourself through this current that we know as spirit. When you hit one current, it always affects or ripples elsewhere. That's all manifestation is. You're tapping into that current, and anyone can. And that's for good or for evil, for good or for bad. Anybody can tap in, but some tap into the light, some tap into the dark. Me, I tap into the light. I like the light. It's funner there. But people can tap into the dark too. It's yin and yang. That's why you have good and evil. Everything has to balance itself out. Even within yourself, it all has to balance out. Your feminine and your masculine, your positive and your negative energy. It all has to balance out inside of you. And it also balances out inside of the world. And also balances out in the ocean that we refer to as spirit, God, source, creator. Now, I want to just take it a little further. Because inside of the ocean, and I talked about this before, but in the ocean you have your creatures of the light that live closer to the light, towards the top of the ocean. And then you have the ugly creatures that live at the depths that you don't even know exist, that you only see in tumultuous times, like when a typhoon or hurricane tears up the coastline, and then all of these creatures that were released from earthquakes and the tidal waves come up to the surface. And you didn't even know they existed. Those things that are in the depth. All of them breathe the same water, but they just live at different depths, different levels. And that's how it is with human beings. We're all at different depths and different levels, but no one is better than anybody else. So maybe I can do some things you can't do. That doesn't mean you can't tap in. That doesn't make me any more special than you. It just means I'm more open to the possibilities. I'm open to spirit. I'm open to the source. I'm open to watching how things move. The only thing that we're really here to do on this earth, no matter what religion you are in, what culture you're in, we are here to love each other, to spread hope, peace, harmony, and respect the earth. Take care of where we live. Take care of the community. Basically, the principles of my app. That's what I live by. My app. Go look it up. Go Google it. Just Kemetic philosophy. Just the way that you should live your life. We just supposed to live life in a way that we learn, we spread love, help our friends, and do our best not to hurt each other, and do our best not to hurt ourselves. Really, those are the only things we have to worry about. And if we do make those mistakes, we take accountability for them, ask for forgiveness, and we move on. It's not that hard. But people have been taught, I feel like, just wrong for so long, especially the concept of sin. Now, I want you to Google me after I'm done, and you can see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me. But I know I'm right, so I ain't worried about that. The only thing I might get wrong is the pronunciation. But there's a word that the word sin was translated from in Hebrew. The Hebrew version of sin is chait, C-H-A-I-T. Look it up. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but that's the spelling. And what that means is to miss the mark in archery or to make a mistake. To miss the mark in archery or to make a mistake. That's the mistranslation. So what is sin really? Making a mistake, being a human being. There's no such thing as being a born sinner. You're not born evil. You're not born bad. There's nothing wrong with you. You shouldn't have to cry every Sunday and give you money just to feel better about yourself. Feel better about yourself for being you. Yes, you're going to make mistakes. But the main thing is to operate in such a way that you're not deliberately trying to hurt people or mislead people or deceive people. If you're living in this way and you're just trying to have a good life, spread joy and love into the earth, and spread light, increase the vibrations, that is what we are here to do. We have, as human beings, have made it so much harder than it has to be. For ego, because we want to feel more important than everybody else. Because if we believe the right thing, we're living the right belief system, we're going to be better than everybody else. We're going to go to heaven and everybody else isn't, because they're all dirty sinners who don't believe everything we do. If you really believe spirit works like that, I think you should really work on your relationship. Because I think you have more of a relationship with the book. As for me, I'm kind of done with the books. I mean, I'll read them for inspiration and whatnot. But in terms of carrying them as the whole truth, I no longer do that. I will take the seeds of knowledge that are applicable for me in daily life and lean on those for encouragement. So yeah, maybe the Psalms might make me happy. I may find wisdom in Proverbs. I might pull out the Quran and find some inspiration, or the Torah. or the Guru Granth Sahib. I rock with the Sikhs, get knowledge from them. I can get the Tao, rock some knowledge from the Buddhists. We can all take pieces from everything and learn from each other. If we did that, instead of all of this division, all of this placing people on pedestals, I really think the world could be a better place for everybody. We could all learn from each other. Let's have new ideas, man. Be free thinkers. What's so bad about that? Y'all so scared of being condemned. If your belief causes you to have fear, and that's the main reason you believe is because you're scared, you fell for the trap. You fell for it. Anything that's about fear, fear is the opposite of love. It's not hate. Hate and love, they go together, hand in hand. It's a thin line, baby. But fear is that opposite. So, if your political system, your thought system, religious system, if it is all fear-based, and that's what you live by, fear, and you feel like everybody else has to live like you and be in fear, maybe you're the problem. For me, I'm done exalting other men, raising them on pedestals. Do I have people that I admire? Yes. Many. Some of the faith, some aren't. I said I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. But I do often go to my pastor friends for guidance. Does that mean that I see their collar as making them more important than me? No. And neither should you. They're all people. We're all people. That's the main thing. So if they make a mistake and they fall off, don't be surprised. We all make mistakes. I mess up regularly. I do. I try not to. But all I can do is say, I'm sorry, apologize, try to learn the lesson and move forward. Such is life. We make mistakes. Doesn't mean we're going to burn forever because of them. We got to get out of that mindset of having to be perfect for everybody else. You don't got to be perfect, just the perfect you. So, and this kind of goes in hand with church hurt, because you're disappointed that somebody treated you a certain kind of way in the church. Guess what? You're human. It doesn't matter what religion you are. Assholes come in all cultures, all flavors, all beliefs. They do. It's all about you. And whatever relationship you choose to have with Source, Divine, the Creator, the Source, whatever you refer to God as. If you believe in that. If you don't, that's cool too. Be a good person. You don't have to. Because some of the nicest people I know are not religious at all, but they are so tapped in and intuitive, and they're good. When you feel their energy, you feel that love. I'd rather be around somebody like that than somebody that deems himself as a good Christian and is hateful. I would. I get down with them. I always got along better with street dudes than I did with church people. There I am, hanging with criminals. But they showed me love when I needed the church's help. Nothing. My friend that sold dope, I needed a place to stay. I crashed on his couch. This was many, many years ago. I didn't have enough money to eat. Loan me $5, $10. I go to get the 99-cent Whopper. back when you could do that. When I was briefly homeless for about a month, my friends let me crash on their couches. My hood friends, my friends that sold dope, the street dudes, they took care of me. Nobody else did. This is 20 plus years ago. But I'm just saying this to say that good people are always around in many forms. So maybe let's think about why you're looking up to whoever it is you look up to and why. And instead, look at them through the lens of the human being that they are, just like you. And know that they're no perfect, no better, nothing. Don't be disappointed. I think that's all I got for today. I know one for a while. I didn't mean to go this long, but I felt it kind of burning in me, and I felt like I need to get off my chest. So I hope this helps somebody that has gone through this, and understand you don't need a title, an ordination, a collar, a certification, a theology degree, none of that. Just because they have it doesn't make them more connected to the divine than you. So tap in. Figure it out for yourself. Be your own teacher, man. I mean, listen to me. Come see me. I'm cool. But think for yourself. It's okay. I'm giving you license. You heard it from me. I want to thank you guys for your time. Please like, share, subscribe, share. Hit the like button. You, person I'm pointing at. You. Hit the like button. But on the real, thank you guys for your time. Peace, blessings. Ashe. One love.
Turn to your neighbor, say neighbor. Turn to your neighbor, say neighbor. Turn to your neighbor, say neighbor. Turn to your neighbor, say